Hello, and welcome to Chit-Chat with Autumn, and I am your host, Autumn Short. And I got a great guest with me today, and I'm super excited. Her name is Megan Bryant, and she is with Idaho Laugh Fest. And we're going to totally lighten the mood here today because we are going to talk about funny things and things that should make you laugh. Or at least you'll want to maybe try to laugh after we're done talking with Megan. So, hi Megan, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to have you on the show today because I want to know all about the Idaho Laugh Fest. And let's just start there first because I have lots of questions about it. So let's start there. What is the Idaho Laugh Fest?
It's Idaho's first comedy festival, and it's about darn time because we have a lot of cool things that are going on in our comedy scene with stand-up and improvised comedy. So I'm born and raised here in Boise, so I just have been having a hankering for it for a long time, and we were ready for it. The community was ready to embrace a weekend full of laughter.
Wonderful. Now, are you a comedian? Do you perform? Because I've met you a couple of times, and I do know that you have a really good personality. But do you perform, or is it just your husband that performs as well, or how's this work?
The big focus of this was not necessarily for me to perform. I do perform and manage a local improv troupe here in town, and I started doing stand-up about 3 years ago. But I'm very much an amateur still when it comes to stand-up. It's quite an art form that takes a lot of time and dedication. So, but yeah, I love the stage, no doubt.
Now, your husband, though, he is also a comedian. Is that correct?
You know, he makes me laugh. Technically, no, he's actually a photographer and he works in the hotel industry.
Oh.
I have a lot of close friends that are comics, but my husband helps me write my material, and he's always been there supporting and been the biggest fan that I could ever ask for. So,
because I was going to ask you, what is it like to live in a home? I guess maybe your family, your kids may be able to tell me better. I don't know if you have kids, but what it would be like to live in a home with two comedians that could, how do you go about punishing your kids when you're both,
right,
something like that?
It would be challenging, but no, he lets me have the stage to myself. He keeps it. So he likes to make me laugh, and then he lets me make other people laugh.
Well, that is great. I love it.
Yes.
So this was the first year for the Laugh Fest. Now, are you planning to have a second year? Is this something that you're going to continue doing, or is this like one and done type thing?
Heck no. I was hoping it would go well enough that I wouldn't be freaked out to try it again, but it's definitely an annual event. It's going to be set for every January. We already have the 2015 dates picked. So it'll be January 8th, 9th, and 10th, 2015, and it is locked and loaded.
Oh, I love it. Perfect. Now, are you going to – so last year, if I remember right, you had different venues where you have different comedians at each venue, and you could go to – you like had a venue park hopping pass or something where you could go to each venue and try to hit as many shows as possible. Is that how you're going to do it again this year?
Yeah, we'll do it hopefully a little more organized. But, yeah, there's going to be multiple venues, different types of show structures. People will be able to choose from the ratings because we want to make sure there's some stuff that's age appropriate for the whole family to come, all the way up to rated R. But we will have a couple of different levels of passes, so people can either just go to one show, or they'll be able to pick from a couple different levels for, like, VIP would get them into as many shows as they can cram in over the 3-day time period. So, yeah, we'll have lots of different options, and we're going to have stand-up showcases, hopefully have a lot of improv troupes that want to participate again. And maybe a little more variety. We had a couple groups that did musical comedy last year, so I want to hopefully have some different things to sample this year.
Oh, that will be very fun, very, very fun. Tell me about some of the comedians that you had at last year's.
Yeah, it was awesome. Well, first of all, I didn't know what type of participation level to expect. We had tons of submissions. We had over 70 comics from all over the country. 46 of those were stand-up comedians, and they range from really brand new, super green, like only a couple months in. Some of them they've been doing it for years, and so they're professional touring comics. So it was such a good variety of really quality entertainment. And we also had improv troupes for Comedy Sports as a local venue that we used. It's actually an international comedy company. And so they actually had a West Coast tournament with multiple improv troupes just for comedy sports in town. So we ended up having a really nice variety of things that were different types of comedy styles. Again, things that were for a variety of ages, if people wanted to pick and choose what's their flavor. It was really nice to be able to have a broad spectrum of men and women and improvisers and stand-ups, and having everyone kind of play together was really fun.
So tell me, because somebody new who maybe they did not attend last year, or they don't get out often, but yet they want to attend maybe some events. There is a place. Is there places here locally or in Boise locally where people can go to check it out and see if this is something that they like, and if they do like it, then they may want to get tickets and stuff for the Idaho Laugh Fest?
Definitely.
Can you give them some ideas of where?
Yeah, I'd love to. There's actually a couple of different, if you're into stand-up or want to try stand-up, there's open mics every week at Liquid Laughs. That's one of our venues for the festival. And actually, just coming up here in a couple of weeks is a contest called Boise's Funniest Person. Idaho Laugh Fest is actually a sponsor for that event. So people with zero experience will audition and hopefully earn a spot. Then they'll be paired with a veteran comic to work through learning how to be a comic. And then they have a 4-week contest that goes all through July and ends the first weekend in August. And the winner basically becomes, crowned a legit comic. They win $1,000 cash, and they're going to win a spot to perform at Idaho Laugh Fest as well. So that's just one example. There's always things going on around the city. There's also, if you're into improv or want to try it, it's something that's great for any age and for just building your confidence and brainstorming. Like, it's really a great tool to open your mind and explore life in a really positive, safe environment. And there's classes that go on at Comedy Sports. There's also another troupe called Recycled Minds that does regular workshops. So there's a lot of opportunity to learn either improv or stand-up or both.
So, okay, so there is actually classes that you can attend to learn this as well.
Yeah.
What is the average age of a comedian? Do they range from like 16 all the way up to 96, or what is the usual age?
Oh, that's great. That's the great thing about comedy is there's nothing usual about it. In fact, one of our local comics, his son has started doing stand-up and has opened for him. I think he's 6, he might be 7. But I mean, at any age you could really start. I think around here, the local scene, you see a lot of people, well, it's still a pretty big range, probably late teens to into their 50s is a pretty common thing that we see, but anyone and everyone is welcome because everyone has their own take on life and making it funny. So that's what's great about it. You don't have to be a certain personality or demographic to fit into comedy. It's pretty all-inclusive for getting together and laughing at life.
So let me ask you, as a woman in this industry, is it difficult for you, or is this something that you just blend right in and you mix right in? Because to me, I would almost feel like it's more of a male-dominated environment. But is that true? Am I incorrect? What is it like being a woman in the comedy industry?
I think that's still a pretty common perception that it's harder to be a woman in comedy, and debates will go back and forth a lot about that. I just read an article today from the Second City in Chicago about that, and it was written by a woman, and she was like, there's no conversation here, women are funny. And I think generally it's becoming more widely accepted that women can do just as well. I think personally there's some things that just because as women, our natural behaviors, like even as an audience member, it's kind of be like, oh, is this girl going to be funny? And we immediately size each other up, maybe a little more than men do. So for me personally, I like to try to do some jokes or banter with the women to kind of get them on my side early on. So then if they get laughing, then their boyfriends or husbands know it's cool to laugh too. But I think overall, the consensus would probably mostly be that the playing field is evening out a little bit. Because the genders, I mean, we all have so many different funny things to talk about that it's becoming less of an issue, I think.
So now let me ask this: do you watch? My daughter and I, we reality TV, as you know, it's amazing, great entertainment. So do you watch Last Comic Standing? And do you guys, as comics, do you guys share your material with each other, or do you just try to come up with your own material? How does that really work? I mean, because you see them, they're on national TV. They want obviously this show in Las Vegas, or to perform. So do you watch the show? Do you like any of the comics that are on the show? And then again, do you share any material? If you hear something funny on the show, would you use it in your own show?
Yeah, those are good questions. There's a couple of them in there. So the first one is I love watching that show. I actually have only seen bits and pieces of it because I do, in regards to an earlier thing you mentioned, I do have small children. So I kind of have selective hearing when I'm at home, but I did get a chance to watch some of it the other night. I love to watch other comics because there's so many different styles, and that is exciting to watch, that there's really so many different ways you could approach even similar types of concepts and material. But yeah, so yes, I think a lot of comics do like to watch each other. As far as using each other's material, that can be a pretty sensitive subject. You shouldn't do that. If you can take the same subject matter and give it your own twist, that's fine. I mean, there's a lot of overlap as far as that goes. But it definitely would not bode well if you get to a certain level and then you become known for stealing people's material. That's not great. On the other hand, if you're at open mics or you're brainstorming, a lot of comics get together and they do writing sessions. So they might hear a comic give a joke and maybe the punchline's not quite there, and they might say, hey, maybe try wording it like this. A lot of times there's sort of a collaborative element that can exist if there's buddies there, that everyone wants to have good jokes. So I think if people can tag team a little bit to help each other get better, it just makes for overall good experiences when multiple comics are on the same show.
I love it. I love that you guys aren't trying to rip each other's eyeballs out to get the spotlight.
Right.
So can I put you in the last couple of minutes here? Can I put you on the spot? And do you mind doing just like a minute or so of impromptu for us?
I was gonna warn you, if you wanted to interview, like, the #1 worst thing to ask a comic is to tell a joke in an environment like this. Truthfully, well, I'll give a disclaimer on it, but I'll maybe see if a punchline comes out. Because there needs to be a good environment for comedy. So if you don't have like the room set well, the audience in nice and tight up front, and they want to be there for a comedy show, you're not going to have the same reaction, because laughter is contagious and they want to go have a good time. I get asked all the time, I'm sure a lot of comics do, is like, oh, okay, tell me a joke. And yeah, I could tell you what the joke is, but if you're just hearing it one-on-one or on a YouTube video, it's
not as funny.
Effective. Yeah. So I have my little go-to that I like to throw in, which is that I ate a lot of cat food as a child, and what can I say? I love cats, and I was under the impression that eating a large amount of cat food would turn me into one, and I had no reason to think my sister would lie to me. Obviously, it didn't work. Turns out the side effects just take a little bit longer. I can see as I'm growing into an adult, I'm turning into a cougar.
I like that one though. That is good.
It's so different than if I were in with a spotlight and a microphone in my hand and 50 adoring fans.
The flowers, the pictured flowers on the wall behind you, sitting in your family room, is not like the environment that you need.
Right. I get asked to do stuff at like corporate things sometimes, or if I'm in like a networking group, they're like, tell us a joke, and I'm like, trust me, a restaurant at lunchtime in broad daylight is not going to go well.
I love it. I absolutely love it. So, Megan, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, if they want more information about the Laugh Fest, what is the easiest way to get a hold of you and find out that information?
Yeah, cool. Man, you could Google Megan Bryant and you will find all sorts of stuff. But to narrow it down, the quickest contact would be to email me at info@idaholaughfest.com. You can check us out on Facebook. I answer the messages on there really quick too. It's just the same name at Facebook with /Idaho Laugh Fest.
Wonderful. So January 8th through the 10th, the second annual Idaho Laugh Fest is coming up, and I am really excited. Do you know about how many comedians you're planning to have this year?
I hope it'll be about the same. We open registrations August 1st. So people can submit their video, and they'll be in the pot, and we'll review them. So we're looking at hopefully having about the same amount, give or take.
Perfect. All right. Well, hopefully, I mean, this is something that definitely will stick around for many, many years, because I think laughter is a great medicine for people, especially during the winter months when you get those sad, the blues, everything like that. So, Megan, thank you so much for joining me today on Chit Chat with Autumn, and I'm really excited for the next Laugh Fest to come up, and it was great chatting with you, so thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. It was great. Appreciate it.